Just because it's summertime does not mean our sweet tooth goes away, but it does mean we don't want to turn on the oven and heat up the house. Those poor air conditioners are already working so overtime trying to maintain a home we actually want to live in and hopefully help us create an environment that we don't fight with our family about because we are hot and overheated. In order to show thanks to our very hardworking air conditioners, let's not turn on the oven and heat up the house and make work harder for them. Let's make this delicious, no-bake, peanut butter chocolate oat square. As with any good recipe, we're going to start off with butter. You're going to put it in a pan over medium heat and allow it to melt. As it's melting, you're going to add your brown sugar and allow those two things to just kind of come together. This is where the cooking starts, and this is the only bit of cooking that you're going to have. Don't rush the process. Allow it to melt slowly, take its time, meld together, do its thing. You definitely don't want to turn the heat up too high on your stove because you do not want the mixture to start boiling and will then start burning. We want just a meld of ingredients and for the sugar to dissolve into the butter. Brown sugar and butter tend to have an interesting relationship with each other when they melt together. They don't quite mix. So if you're finding that it's not mixing together very well, don't worry. That's normal. That's exactly what usually happens. Allow it to simmer just a slight bit more, and eventually the brown sugar will start to caramelize almost and actually meld with the butter. So if you're finding that it's not mixing well, just allow it to heat up just a little bit longer. You want to leave this pot alone for the most part to do its thing. You don't want to agitate it too much. You don't want sugar splashing up the sides because you're going to end up with crystallization. But you also want to make sure that using a stove-safe spatula that you scrape the bottom of the pan quite frequently to make sure that nothing is going to sit at the bottom and burn. As always, all of my recipes will be linked in the description below. There you will find all the measurements, directions, tips, and tricks that you might need to make this dish yourself. While you're over there, make sure you stick around and browse a little. You might find your next favorite recipe, whether it be for your home and a simmer pot to make it smell delicious, or an easy, quick dinner idea. All kinds of recipe ideas over there available at the click of a finger. I really tried to sound professional there. Did that work? Did that come across? I don't know. So as you can see, all my brown sugar and butter is coming together now, and this is the point where I actually add the vanilla. You want to wait right until the end of your cooking time to add the vanilla, because the earlier you add it to your mixture, the more likely the vanilla is actually just going to burn off. As you know, most vanillas are actually made with a type of alcohol, some of them anyway. And we know alcohol burns off really quickly when it is heated up, so you don't want to add it too soon inside of your recipe. Once you've added the vanilla, you want to go ahead and add your quick rolled oats. You can also use steel oats if you prefer, if that's what you have. It will just add a different texture to your bar. However, I believe that would actually be delicious as well. So use what you have, or what you like, honestly. At this point, my stove is still on. However, it is at a very low temperature. And honestly, a lot of the heat is just coming from the glass because I unfortunately have a glass top stove. I say unfortunately only because it's not my favorite, and it is hard to put your pots onto a low simmer. So sometimes I actually at this point would just turn it off and use the heat remaining in the glass itself. While it is still on the stove and still gaining some heat, you want to use that opportunity to stir the oats and fold all of the ingredients together, making sure that every piece of oat is covered in your butter and brown sugar mixture. If you were to take this off the heat to do that, you might end up having clumps of the butter and brown sugar mixture there. That's why we leave it on the heat, so that it can continue to stay in a semi-liquid form, and that way you have an even distribution across your oats. Once you have that all mixed together, you're going to go ahead and take it off the stove. It seems I am taking a picture for my website. So then I'm going to go ahead and take it off the stove. Once I have it all mixed together, take it off the stove, Megan. Let's go. There we go. Okay, off the stove and put it over onto your counter. I have mine on my cutting board here. Make sure you put something down to protect your counter before you actually put it on your counter. You do want to make sure that you are constantly giving it a stir once in a while you are preparing the rest of the ingredients in the pan. That way nothing clumps together as it's cooling. As you can see in my pan, I have parchment paper lined in there. This will come in a lot of handy. This will come in handy later. Very, very much. How else would I say that? I don't know. You get it. It's helpful. You want to go ahead and pour in half of our oat mixture into here. Do not pack it down. Just simply spread it around. See how I'm just delicately shooshing it all over the bottom of the pan? That is, by the way, a technical term. Shooshing. You want to shoosh. Shooshing is where you will end up with your best results. You do want to pack down, packing down is not what I meant to say. You do want to make sure that it is level as possible, but don't make it flat. You want to have the dips and dives for the chocolate to fall into. Set the pan aside, then you're going to grab yourself a microwave safe bowl. You can of course do this step on a double boiler on the stove, but we're talking easy here, folks. In this bowl, you're going to add the chocolate chips as well as the peanut butter. You're going to put it in the microwave and heat for 30 seconds at a time, removing each time to stir. The final time that you take it out of the microwave, you will most likely and hopefully still see little pieces of chocolate inside of your mixture. That is okay. I like to take it out of the microwave at that point and just keep stirring until everything's melted. You have enough heat inside of that bowl to melt those extra little nodules. I think for myself and for my microwave, it took maybe 60 seconds total. I probably put it in the microwave once, took it out, stirred it, put it back in for another 30 seconds, took it out, and brought it back to the counter to stir again. You can see there's still little chunks in there. Just stir, keep stirring, and that chocolate will melt. Like I said, you will have enough heat in there to actually melt it. You do not want to put it back in the microwave at this point because you don't want to burn it. That is not the goal here. Now at this point, you're going to be very tempted to take a spoonful and shove it straight in your mouth, and I highly recommend you do not. It will burn. However, once it cools, it is delicious. So save some extra for yourself. Then what you're going to do is take the mixture, the chocolate and peanut butter mixture, and just drizzle it over top of that bottom layer, leaving a little bit on top for a little added pizzazz to the top of our bars. You don't want to use all of it. Honestly, you just need enough to drizzle on top when we're done. When you're spreading out this chocolate, you want to make sure that you are not packing it down. You are not pushing the oat pieces around. You're being very delicate and gentle. More shooshing, if you will. Then we're going to put the remainder amount of our oat mixture on top. As you can see, I'm kind of sprinkling it around. I'm not really dumping it in the middle and then pushing it around because I, again, don't want any of that chocolate layer to move. But I am doing this while the chocolate layer is still in its liquid form because I do want it to fall and create all these nooks and crannies. You'll see when you slice into this bar that there is no straight layer in between one level to the next or one layer to the next. There's no straight line. That's what I meant. There's no straight line between one layer to the next. You are going to see dips and dives, and to me that's beautiful. And also it keeps it from it keeps it it keeps it from falling apart. My goodness, my brain needs to connect to something at some point today. Now here we are using the rest of that chocolate mixture to just kind of drizzle and sprinkle all over the top, creating something that we can be proud of. I saved way too much of this chocolate, so I ended up drizzling a lot, which is fine. The more chocolate, the better as far as I'm concerned, especially when there's peanut butter involved in the mixture. So you just want to go ahead and drizzle it all on top of there, get it all in as much as possible. At this point too, if you wanted to be fancy, you could add some sprinkles or some chocolate chips, some shavings, whatever it is that you wanted to make it on theme to whatever it is that you're doing. I I attempted to put some plastic wrap on here, but my dumbass didn't realize that it doesn't stick to parchment paper, but it's fine, I digress. And we put it in the fridge. Put it in the fridge for at least 2 hours or overnight. And in the morning, you're going to take it out, allow it to come to room temperature a little bit in order for you to slice through it pretty cleanly. And you can either cut it into 9 squares or more, depending on what it is that you're planning on doing with it. I did 9 squares just for photographic reasons for my website. I like the bigger squares, they just look nicer. But if I was bringing this to a barbecue or a get together, I might cut it in 4 by 4 so everybody can have a piece. And there you have it, one of the easiest recipes you will make this summer and will definitely satisfy that sweet tooth that has been bugging us for days. Bring this to your next get together or make it for yourself at home. Nobody's judging you here. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment below. Let me know if you plan on making this delicious dessert. If you haven't yet, don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any more amazing recipes. Like I said before, link in the description for all the measurements that you need. And get cooking. Good looking. Ugh, I roll.